What's happening, guys? Supernova here, back with another video. And sorry this one took so long, but this is my Ghost of Tsushima initial reaction video. The reason why it took me so long to get this video out is I didn't want to make it after only playing the game for about 2 or 3 hours. I understood that this game has a lot of complex and deep systems and mechanics that you're probably not going to touch within the first 2 or 3 hours. So I wanted to put in closer to like 8, 9, 10 hours, really get to use some of these systems and mechanics and get a real good feel for what this game is like to play and how it feels, and then give you my reactions. And so that's what I've done. I've played for roughly about 10 or 11 hours. I've accessed most of the systems, and I've unlocked a fair share of abilities and stances and things like that. So now that I've played for this long and gotten a really good chance to understand how the game plays and how it feels and what I think about it, now I'm going to let you know. The first thing I'm going to start out by saying is that this game has really, really good sound design. Like, really good sound design. On my surround sound system, it fucking is rocking the sound in this game. And that's backed up by probably some of the best music to be in a video game ever, period. The music in this game is fucking amazing. Now let's get into the main part of the game, which is going to be the combat. The thing that most everything's going to revolve around is the combat. The combat in this game, I really, really like. It's really, really awesome. It's also complex and deep. You can't just run in and mash buttons and expect to get through. Combat encounters sometimes can get a little difficult. And I'm not talking like Sekiro levels of difficult. It's not that difficult. But there is a difficulty to some of the combat encounters depending on how many people are around you, what types of enemies are around you. And the reason I love this combat so much is because you have to think the whole time. So let's say hypothetically it was just you and one other enemy on the battlefield. Just you and one person, and you're fighting this one person. The combat is almost like a mini game. So as you're fighting this one person, you have to pay attention to what they're doing and decide, okay, am I going to parry this attack? Am I going to block this attack? Is this an attack that I can't block and I need to dodge out of the way of? Am I going to strike? Am I going to follow up that strike with another strike? Or am I going to follow up that strike with a dodge? You have this whole mini game going on of what's going on just with this one person. And it gets more complex the harder the enemies get, because then you have some enemies who have unblockable attacks, and then you have enemies like the enemies with the spears where you have to dodge their attacks because they're lunging at you with the spears. Then you have enemies with big shields, or these enemies that are huge enemies with these giant kind of like almost look like barbells. They're just like these long poles with these giant round spear at the end, and they're going to attack you with an unblockable attack, and then follow it up with another unblockable attack, and follow it up with another unblockable attack. So you also have to learn the enemy attack patterns, and it's just, it becomes this kind of little dance that you're doing, even if it's just you and one person. But then you start throwing in all these different types of enemies around you all at once. You'll be surrounded sometimes by 6, 7 enemies. At least so far in my playthrough. It may get up to higher numbers than that, but for me so far it's been about 6, 7 enemies of all different types. And then you have archers even further out than they are. And you're deciding, okay, who's the weakest threat? Who's the biggest threat? Who am I going to try to target first? Okay, and then you're fighting that person and you're doing that little mini dance of block, parry, attack, stagger, dodge. Okay, roll out of the way. Oh, fuck, this dude's coming after me. All right, dodge his attack, fucking strike at him. Oh, shit, gotta dodge the fucking archer. And then, oh, here comes a dude with a spear. Gotta dodge his attack. Okay, I'm gonna parry this dude. Take this dude out. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna use my bow and try to take out the archer in the distance. Like, it's just this tense little battle that you have going on. And I've died multiple times in fights. And usually when I've died, it's because I was playing stupid, or because I was rushing and not paying attention, or because I was rushing or trying to get quick kills instead of taking my time and parrying when I should, blocking when I should, watching for those unblockable attacks so I can dodge out of the way, and I'd end up getting hit by shit that I shouldn't have been getting hit by, but it was my own damn fault because I was trying to rush, you know? So there's plenty of times where I died in this game, but when you go through these combat encounters and you wipe out these 6, 7, 8 guys, you feel legitimately like a badass because you know that you beat them not because you were mashing buttons, but because you did it skillfully. You use skill in order to beat these guys, and that's the way I feel every time I get into a battle in this game. Is I get into a battle with a bunch of guys, I whoop their ass, and then I feel fucking awesome because I know that it's skill that got me through that battle. And then even that is still really only scratching the surface of combat, because then you have all the different stances. You have, so far I've unlocked only the water stance. I'm halfway to unlocking the wind stance, but the water stance is good against shielded enemies. So if you have an enemy that has a shield, you just press R2 and then I can press circle, and then boom, it puts me in a water stance. And now any enemies that have shields are going to get staggered much faster by my attacks and killed much faster by my attacks. So this adds another layer of complexity onto the combat, where when you're in combat situations later on, you're going to be switching your stance mid-combat depending on what enemy is coming after you at that point in time. And then you also have upgraded weapons. You keep your same katana throughout the entire game, but you upgrade that katana multiple times. You also get a short bow and a long bow. I'm not sure if you get any more than that, because when I hold down L2 to select my ranged weapon, clearly short bow and long bow are 2 of 4 slots and the other 2 are empty. So I don't know if you get any weapons later on, but for right now I have a short bow and long bow, so you have those options as well. And then you have ghost weapons like the kunai, like the smoke bomb, like the throwable explosive bomb that sticks to people, and these are also ways that you can mix up combat. And again, then you have things like the standoffs, where you can walk up to enemies and then you have the ability to do a standoff where you hold down triangle and you just wait for that dude to make a move, and the second he makes a move like he's going to attack you, you let go of triangle and you slice that motherfucker in half, right? And then you can upgrade that to where later on you can chain it to more than one person, so you can take out the first person, and then in slow motion it'll show another person coming at you, and the second they go to attack, you hit another face button and whoosh, you take them out, and then another person comes and then whoosh, you take them out. I have gotten to 3. I think I've heard somewhere that you can get it up to 5, but right now I'm at 3. So if I do a standoff, I can take out up to 3 people right off the bat if I do the standoff properly. But that's if you want to make yourself known and just go out there and say like, hey motherfuckers, let's do this. You can also take out enemies stealthily by trying to sneak up behind them or distract them and then assassinate them one by one, or take them out with your bows. Oddly enough though, that's not the way that I am playing this game. And I'm like the stealth person. Like when I was playing The Last of Us Part 2, I had full ammo almost all the time because I was fucking Splinter Cell, Solid Snake Ellie, killing everybody like a fucking ninja silently, and then fucking dumping their lifeless corpses in the fucking tall grass. Like that's the way that I like to play. And like I was doing stealth runs where like if I got spotted, I would instantly restart the encounter in The Last of Us because I wanted to get clean stealth runs. It's the same way that I play games like Far Cry 5. When I play Far Cry 5, I play all bows, nothing but bow and arrows or suppressed weapons, and I try to take out the entire camp without being noticed or without raising the alarm. But like I said, oddly enough, in this game, I don't find myself playing stealthily. And I think it's just because I'm having so much goddamn fun with the combat and the combat encounters that I'm rather go that route than go the stealth route. I will also say I do think that the stealth in this game is not as great as I think I initially expected to be. But even then, I think that it's not so much that the stealth mechanics aren't great as much as it is that I'm just having so much fucking fun with the combat that I'm willing to go that route instead, which like I said is really different for me because I am usually the opposite. But anyway, another really good thing about this game is the level, the world, the environment. Everything feels kind of alive because of this system they have where there's constantly leaves blowing through the wind and on the ground and being kicked up by your horse or by your feet, and then there's fireflies. There's always something in the air, either falling or swirling around. So it just kind of makes the world feel a little bit more alive than if it was just a bunch of trees and some grass. You know what I'm saying? And the game doesn't have the best graphics I've ever seen, but it's still a pretty good looking game overall. And like I said, all these little things like the leaves being blown around and stuff, and the grass blowing in the wind, and the trees, you know, blowing in the wind. It really does add to this whole feeling of being in a living, breathing world. One thing I do really have issues with, though, is the platforming sections. Because you'll come up to a bunch of these different platforming sections that are mostly used for these shrines. You'll find these shrines all around, or these temples, rather, all around the map. And they're kind of noted by these weird little arches, these wooden arches that let you know there's a temple nearby. And you start following these wooden arches and following the pathways with these wooden arches till you eventually get to a point where the path is broken. You can't continue on the path. And then you kind of have to figure out, okay, how do I get around this obstacle to get to the top of this mountain here, which is where I know the temple is. And that usually involves a lot of platforming. And the platforming does not feel great. It feels kind of clunky and out of place, and even like your characters, you're trying to like walk on, you know, planks and stuff like that, and I don't know, like the platforming sections just always feel a little janky to me. They don't feel as good as the rest of the combat, or as good as riding the horse, or as good as just even like running. So that's something that I do have an issue with. It's not a deal breaker by any means. It's not upsetting or anything, but definitely for me, as I'm playing these platforming sections, I definitely feel where this part of the game specifically is not up to the same level as the rest of the things I'm seeing in the game. So that's just one thing that I really, one of the really only issues I have right now with the game is the platforming sections. And occasionally the camera. Occasionally the camera likes to get caught behind fucking trees and behind boxes and, you know, just dumb shit like that. I've seen other reviews of when the first reviews came out of people complaining about the camera, and it's like they were bitching because they had to take their thumb off square for like a half a second to move the right analog stick. And it's like, dude, it takes like a fucking half a second. I've never once died or been hit because I had to move the camera. It's just annoying that you have to move the camera. But these people that are acting like, oh my god, I had to take my thumb off fucking square to hit the right analog stick, fucking camera piece of shit. It's like, dude, calm down. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Annoying, yes, but it takes you a half a second to move your thumb from square to the analog stick. Because if your concern is, oh my god, I had to move my finger from square to the analog stick, what happens when you have to move your fucking thumb from square to cross or from square to triangle? Then what? Are you fucked then too? Fucking idiot reviewers. But like I said, I will concede that the camera does occasionally get caught up on things in the environment like trees, boxes, piles of hay, fucking whatever else. Also, fucking I don't know why the fuck this happened, but I was in some like survivor camp of survivors, and I was talking to a merchant, and there was a dude, you know, sitting with like a little fire, and there were people just doing their shit in this little survivor camp, and there was this fucking cow just chilling in the survivor camp for whatever reason, and I don't know what happened, but randomly the cow decided he was gonna flip the fuck out, and he ran into the fire, and then he caught fire. And then this fucking flaming cow was just running around in fucking circles until he flopped over and died. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, what the fuck did I just see? What the fuck just happened? But I haven't seen anything like that happen since. But yeah, like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I just thought that was really, really funny. The other thing I'm going to say is facial animations in the game are very hit and miss. They're not good all the time, and they're not bad all the time either, but they're just not consistent. And I understand there's a difference between the character models and the animations that are in game versus character models and animations that are cutscenes. But even so, there are some times where it is in game where everything looks pretty good. And then there are times where it's in game where I'm like, whoa, am I watching that Assassin's Creed Valhalla video from the other day? Because, like, Jesus Christ. So it is very hit and miss. And if I was going to knock Assassin's Creed Valhalla for bad facial animations, I really can't give this game a pass for bad facial animations. The other thing in the game that I really like is the very minimalist HUD. Like, as you're riding on your horse, if you need to know which direction to go, you just swipe up on the touchpad and the wind will blow in the direction you need to go, and a kind of very minimal HUD will pop up. And then as you're riding your horse, a few seconds later, it all fades away, and then it is no HUD. No HUD whatsoever. Just you, your horse, and Tsushima. And it's so nice to not have shit cluttering the goddamn screen. There is one thing, though, about the systems in this game that they don't so much confuse me as much as, like, because it's always done so differently in other games that I'm like, I don't understand why they're doing it this way. For example, you constantly get health increases in the game, but I can never really tell how much my health is increasing by, because you're never given an actual, like, health amount in the beginning. It's not like, hey, you have 100 health, and then when it goes up, you have 120 health. No, it's just, here's your health, and then when you increase your health, it says maximum health increased, but, like, the meter that indicates how much health you have, it doesn't seem to really grow. I think it just now holds, it's like denser. That little meter of health is now more dense with health. But, other games, as your health increased, the meter would actually get larger. Or there'll be a number on the meter that says, oh, you have 150 health now instead of 100. This game doesn't do that, so I have no idea how much health I have. And when my health is increased through upgrades, I have no idea how much it's increased by. Same thing with charms. You can put charms on your sword that give you minimal health upgrade, marginal health upgrade. But I don't know how much they're upgrading my health by, because it's not like it's like a 10% increase. It's just minimal increase. Well, how much is a minimal increase? I have no idea, because I don't know how much health I have. And I just think it's a little weird that they did it that way. It's not something that's really affected the game, because all that stuff just kind of does its thing in the background, and you're not really supposed to think about it. You're just supposed to be thinking about your combat encounters. So, like I said, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really ruin or hurt the game in any way, but it's just a little strange that they did it that way, because I do find myself sometimes wondering, like, how much health do I have, or how much health did that increase just give me, or how much did this charm just increase my health by, but I have no idea. Well, anyway, that's just a quick first impressions of the game, and I'm really, really having a lot of fun with it. I really am enjoying the game. It's only getting more fun for me. Combat's getting crazier, so I'm having to get more creative with how I'm approaching encounters. The story's not bad. Like, overall, it's just, like I said, it's a really, really solid game, and I'm really, really enjoying it. If it's one that you're on the fence about, I say go buy it. Go buy it and have fun with it. It's going to be about 30 plus hours of gameplay that so far for me has not been bland or dull or boring. So that's well worth $60 in my opinion. But that's me. Anyway, that's all I got for you on this one. Well, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next Supernova.